Fundamentals of self-defense law. People in the very back obviously assuming that some sort of violent event will break out like this. My name is Michael Brett Collins. I'm an internationally best-selling author. I write about a lot of violence. I used to be a lawyer. I am the moderator. We will try and have some time for questions at the end, but mostly it's going to be these three lovely people talking. Or these three lovely people. And why don't we introduce ourselves, start with you, and we'll move back to our meeting.
Jim Curtis, old NFO, blogger, retired military, aviator, naval aviator. Two sets of series out, science fiction, latest one's out. Practical experience with self-defense over the years. I'd just like to ask a quick question.
Oh no, I'll get to it. I'll ask the question.
All right.
We arranged it before and I didn't forget.
Okay.
Before I start, my opinions are just mine, not that of my sheriff or the county I work for. Let's get that out of the way. My name's Ian McMurtry. I've written books and posted a blog as Law Dog. I'm a 25-year veteran of law enforcement, former military veteran.
Thank you.
Compared to them, I'm Schmucky the Clown. My name is Eric Collette. I don't have anywhere near the experience of these two. I am a firearms enthusiast. I am a Second Amendment advocate. I run a charity called Operation Blazing Sword, and its purpose is to pair gun-curious queer people who want to learn how to defend themselves, but they've been taught for all their lives that gun owners hate them and want them dead. And I pair them with gun owners who don't want them dead and are honestly quite happy to teach them the basics of self-defense. So I'm here basically as an enthusiastic amateur.
You know what, enthusiastic. So I feel like that on a lot of counts. Like I'm a PhD. I wrote the book on this. I'm super, and I'm like I'm enthusiastic, and that's the people that people like anyways. Because we're all, everybody in here is like, well, I don't know that much, but I'm enthusiastic. So you fill the niche perfectly.
I'll try to ask all of the dumb questions so you don't have to.
There's no such thing as a dumb question to stupid people. So what we're gonna what I was gonna ask is, who here has ever been in a fight? Not grade school, like as an adult. Okay. Oh, so we don't live in the Wild West anymore. Who here is ex-military or current military? Okay. By the way, when you're like, my opinions are not my own, or my own, not the sheriff's, I'm like, he's gonna say, so murder everybody.
The sheriff has a list of things he is not allowed to say.
Right, okay, so we got that out of the way. All right, so everybody here has had experience either directly or with a friend or a loved one involving self-defense law. They've been in a fight. Not necessarily that the law's been pulled in, because the great majority of these things happen solo or in a ring of people saying, fight, fight, and don't go any farther, thank goodness. But who here wants to be a writer when they grow up or is a writer now? Good number of people. So that's what we're going to gear this towards, because there's a difference between being a lawyer and talking about self-defense and being a writer and talking about self-defense. The most important thing being self-defense law, like all law, is really boring. And you don't want to bore people. So we're going to focus on the experiences of these people as writers, as enthusiasts, of the things that make self-defense interesting from a story perspective, and from a perspective of a reader and a writer.
So I will add one caveat. Self-defense law is boring until you read it.
Oh, it's always riveting if you're in the chair. Although I will say I've been in more than one case where the judge just straight up was nodding off during trial. All right, so first question, and we'll start with Aaron, and we'll move down. And this, by the way, this is not like, because you brought it up, so I have to address the issue. This isn't a who's more expert. These are three different perspectives that will bring different valuable insights. And if forced to choose between one or the other for your legal defense, go with what your lawyer says. This doesn't matter.
Please get a lawyer.
Yeah, this is people who have interest and enthusiasm about the subject. So, fundamentals of self-defense. Somebody says self-defense, and we all think of like, I murdered him in self-defense, which is a terrible use of the language. I know it was on purpose. So tell us, what are we talking about when we're talking about self-defense?
Oh, what I think about self-defense? What I think is, I'm going home tonight.
Awesome. What do you mean by elaborate?
Well, okay, self-defense, someone is obviously threatening me. And it's not about killing the person. It's about making that person go away so that I can go home safely. In an ideal world, they go home safely too, and the only thing that happens is a police report gets filed. I don't want to have to pull a trigger.
Okay.
I will if I have to, but hey, you know, if oh Lord, I mean, I may not even have to draw it, but if it's like, okay, you're giving me some problems, let's just unholster it, hold it at low ready. Oh, you've lost the stomach for this.
Right.
Great.
Everybody's happy.
Well, to certain degrees, I'm certainly happy.
Yeah.
And, oh, and by the way, if that ever happens, you call 911 and let them know. Because you don't want the other person calling and saying, this person threatened me with a gun, it was a black such and such. The first one to call 911 wins 99% of the time.
Sir, self-defense. Tell us what it
Self-defense,
means.
cop. Self-defense is the use of force to defend yourself or another party from immediate, unlawful use of force.
Well, we can go home. Next up, what's yours?
Defense of self or family,
Okay.
by whatever means necessary. Be
Okay.
it a stick, a pen, pepper spray, or a weapon. Now, as a clarification, I've carried a weapon legally since 1986. I've never had to use it, and I pray to God I never do. But I will in a heartbeat.
Okay. So for our story purposes, I'd like to hear from each of you something that bugs you when people talk about something. Just keep it short. Because if you get somebody who knows stuff about this or who's had experienced it, I cannot watch cop shows.
Nope.
They just drive me bonkers. The Rookie, though, I'm really enjoying because they get a lot of the procedural stuff and they really researched it. It's not perfect, but it's a heck of a lot better than just like Lethal Weapon.
Barney Miller was the only cop show I watched.
So tell us,
honest.
we'll start from that side and move this way this time. Tell us something that you don't like, that you see a lot, and why.
The inaccuracies in weapon use. The classic case, how many movies have you seen where the guy or the girl pulls out a gun, shoots, and the guy flies back 20 feet? No. Just no. That's my worst one.
Okay. Why? Well, why does it bother you so much, though?
Because it's not right.
But it's bitchin'.
I don't care.
Hit him with an RPG then.
The thing that bothers me, and it's a little esoteric, is books and movies don't get the impact of a critical incident psychologically on the person using the force or the person receiving the force. It just bugs the hell out of me that there's an extremely, could be, interesting thing you can write about on critical incident stress. And nobody ever, it's, you know, shoots a guy, goes home and has something.
Right.
Guys, it doesn't work out. Trust me on this one. Everyone always has perfect recall during a gunfight. No, you don't. Trust me, you don't have perfect recall.
What was the term used? Critical instance?
Critical instance stress. People, you know, there are never any time dilations, there's no time speeding up, there's no false memories, there's no memory loss. It's all perfect. I know exactly what happened. No, you don't. No, you don't. It just bugs me.
Can I just say, to illuminate that as just a normal guy who's not a police officer, who's not military, if I'm a lawyer and I'm a writer and I'm a trained observer for those reasons, and I'm on a ride-along during research, and there was a homicide, and it happened about 15 feet from me, so my 4-hour ride-along turned into a 20-hour at the police station, first of all, so forget going home.
Yeah.
And I finished my report and wrote it out, and he said, this is among the best and most accurate reports I've ever read following this. The small problem is the two police officers, who are the only two people, not bad guys, there. You mix them up. So I was right. Every single thing I said police officer A did, it was really police officer B. And they were different genders. This was the height disparity. In my head, they were the, you know, so you mess that stuff up, yeah, it's very crazy. What about you? What's a pet peeve when you see it here?
Well, there are so many. like safeties on revolvers, or pumping your shotgun for emphasis. But the one that bugs me the most, and it's within the past few years, little tiny rank here. How many people watch Arrow? No? Okay, you're not missing anything anymore. So there was a thing about the third season, and since you're writers, TV show, that's why I'm bringing this up. The bad guy stole some industrial diamonds. And so Green Arrow was wondering, well, why would they steal industrial diamonds? They're not worth anything. The plot was the bad guys were going to put the industrial diamonds on the bullets of their guns in order to, it gets better. So they would put the industrial diamonds on the tips of their bullets in order to shoot through police body armor, so that when they invaded the police station, they would kill all the cops. Now,
That's legit.
You're causing him physical pain.
now, setting aside the fact that diamonds at that pressure would shatter upon impact, and we're not even going to get into the feasibility of mounting it, rifle bullets will go through police body armor. There was no reason for the plot at all. Just arm up with AR-15s and storm the precinct if the story calls for dead
12
cops.
gauge shotgun with slugs. Go down your local county.
I mean, they massively overthought it, and I was just, I'm not even mad. This is spectacularly awful.
So you bring up a good thing. Yeah. So I walk both sides of the stupidity fence sometimes. So I'm like, that's not accurate, it's not okay, but if it's bitching enough, I'm like, all right.
You're the problem.
Well,
Bitching enough, there's nosebleed territory.
well, at least I'm aware, I'm like, because there's a difference between lethal weapon, which has no pretense at any level of accuracy, and Bones, which pretends to accuracy and is much more science fiction-y than anything. So I can get on board as long as they're above board about what they're doing, frankly. But you all said, this drives me nuts. And the reason, from a storytelling perspective, that they do these things that drive you nuts is because they're either quick, dumb, that is, we don't want to explain the law to you, or they're awesome. Let's have diamond bullets, they'll go through anything, So the question becomes for this crowd, how do you take something accurate and make it that awesome? And there are answers to, I'm not saying devil's advocate, because it's doable and it's best when it's done that way. So how would you tell these people, here's how you get it right, and still make it cool?
Story time.
Okay, folks. There are a lot more weapons out there than just your standard safety mounted Glock.
That's the revolver, right?
If you want really bitching, look up Metal Store.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really bitching. If you want really bitching, look up, you don't want to get into firearms, look up some of the old Hindu hand-to-hand weapons. Okay. How many people here saw Xena Warrior Princess?
Oh,
You saw the war clone, the chopper? She was throwing it wrong. You can throw that thing properly and go through body armor. I mean, there are stuff out there. Take the Glock, put it under your bed, and go look at the really interesting stuff. Metal Storm, the proper way to use a chopper.
Don't just put it on your finger.
Yeah, put it on your finger. It'll go right. It'll go through. I've seen one go through the front windshield of a truck and out the back windshield.
It doesn't look very heroic, though, does it? Which is probably why they did it that way.
The results downrange are pretty
heroic.
Yes. There's stuff out there. Step outside the box of your standard of what's there and look at the stuff that's out there.
How else can we make the real awesome? It is awesome. Pro tip, the real is awesomer. But you have to focus on the right elements. So that's what I'm asking. What are some really accurate, cool elements of self-defense that you wish people did?
The ones, to me, that make the most sense from a writer's perspective are the time dilation. If you've ever experienced that, it is scary.
What is that for anybody who doesn't know?
Time dilation is where, in your mind, time slows down. Where you see movement before it occurs. Where you see the bullet leave the barrel.
Or the lady with the meat tenderizer is doing this.
Yeah. You see that strike coming at you. Also, auditory exclusion.
Yes.
When you fire the gun and never hear it go off. When you lose count of how many rounds you fire. Very realistic. When you literally, after it's all said and done, and the cop shows up and goes, how many times you shoot? I shot him twice. Why does he have 17 holes?
There's
That
14
happens.
bags on the floor, just over the
Yeah, that actually happens. Very seldom in a real shooting situation does the person involved ever remember how many times they actually pulled the trigger. The fog, the mental fog, when the vision closes down, everything else is peripheral. You're looking at that threat coming at you. And there's a thing in the military and a thing in certain types of training that says honor the threat. You have to honor that threat in your writing, where that person becomes the center of your world. Now, how do you write that? That's up to you as a writer.
But you know, I like something that, you know, the time, and then I want to hear yours too, so I hope you're thinking cool stuff. The time dilation is really useful, so this is a really useful nuts and bolts thing, because fights, in a movie, a fight, not The Matrix, but like, you know, you're looking at a gritty fight movie and it's over in 10 seconds, and if you write that out beat for beat, it takes 15, 20 pages, and the nice thing is you can do that and still be legitimate. In a lot of my books where there's a lot about to happen, I know about the time dilation effect whenever you get amped up and scared or angry or aggressive, and you can say time slowed, and it was like you could see everything, the whole unit, and then you can take time describing the geography of these things. Because real fights are messy and gross and confusing
And quick.
and in a book, you can be all those things except confusing. And so you have to, or a movie, you have to impart the understanding. And if you are confusing, it's purposeful. You're being confused for the character, but if your audience ever says, oh, well, they got confused in this fight, you've just shown yourself to be an incompetent. So these are all really good techniques that take good notes on these. What do you think, Aaron?
All right, so is the question how to make the fight itself cool, or are we talking about?
I'm talking about, like, so we talked about all the things that are stupid that the dot, and I love that. I love it on so many levels. But so give us an example of how to take something that's accurate and put it in there and show, hey, the accurate stuff can be awesome too. It can be great from a story perspective.
Okay, I don't have the depth of experience that these gentlemen have. I default to telling stories. So a couple of years back, I was at a shooting event, and there was a junk car that had been towed out in front of the berm, and little bags of tannerite, impact explosive, had been placed on it. And we were given the command to open fire. Now, I had a very nice bolt-action 308. I'm thinking, I got it lined up. Well, I mean, I didn't have my finger up. It's like, I know which one I'm going to get. I'm going to pick it up, acquire the sight picture. I'm going to blow that sucker. It'll be awesome. There's a guy sitting next to me. I mean, literally. He's got a full auto something or other. He's mag dumping. Okay, and so when we were given the command to open fire, just it opened up on all sides, and I could not see the car anymore because someone, somewhere, I don't know how, they had hit the target before me, boom, went the tannerite, there was a big cloud. This guy is just mag dumping. I'm feeling the rounds bouncing off my head. I've got this gray cloud of, it's not really called cordite anymore, but gunpowder. You know, I'm choking on, and it's like, I cannot see anything. I don't want to go home with an empty mag. I think it's there.
That is the best shooting practice ever.
It was disappointing, but
You hear,
So all sorts of things. There is, you can be the roar of gunpowder, the roar of gunfire, the smell. When I got home after that, and I got in the shower, Well, okay, wash it. I blew my nose in the shower. It came out gray from all the gunpowder. So there are little details that you can add either during the fight or afterwards in order to give that sense of verisimilitude.
Yeah.
And so there's more than just, there's the guy, I shot him. They talk about what it feels like, what it smells like, what's going on, what sort of things are obscuring the vision of the target.
Awesome. I'm going to come back to you in a second. Yes, sir.
Just remember too, this does not have to be a gun.
No.
You could do this in historical fiction with a knife, a spear, a sword.
I've done self-defense with a phone call.
Go on.
At least it wasn't a tactical coffee cup.
I was in DC. DC is no weapons, at the time no weapons whatsoever. I was walking home from an assignment or something we were doing. Stopped to call. There were things called payphones, guys.
They're like the thing Doctor Who uses to fly around heavens.
I was at the
Over that
payphone. I
space.
was calling a ride, and somebody attempted to mug me. Well, what I had was, one, I was very irritated, and two, I had the phone cord. So when I ripped it out, I started whipping with the phone cord. And I still have the belt. Walk 110.
I thought it was going to be strangling. So
That's a Jason Bourne.
Strangling is vastly more.
Well,
Something that does work real well though is a full cap beer bottle.
They don't
oh yeah,
mind.
you know, they don't crack over your head and you kill someone and you go to jail forever.
You never hit them in the head.
The classic use of a beer bottle in a bar room is you fast pitch it across the room, take out a guy, and flip out the sideboard.
So I'd like to point out something really interesting that happened. There's different markets. You know, if you're writing what some people call gun porn, which is all about I want to get the caliber right, the exact use right. I'm going to talk about the degree of my feet are being held during the shot and all that. And you laugh, but there's really good stuff that I'm reading. I'm like, I didn't even know guns were that important, and now I want to own all of them. So that's one thing, and that I think we look at that sometimes we're like, oh, I'll never be that expert. But you know what got the biggest reaction was when she said rounds are flying into. I'm sorry, which person? Aaron.
I'm a she.
Okay, I just. My bad. My apologies. So she said rounds are flying into my head, and every one of you went like that because it's these little real details that sell it. You don't have to think I've got to have 40 years. If you're going to write gun porn, you better write it accurately. But if you're writing a self-defense, you have to get it right enough to not draw people out and make it interesting. I love that.
Self-defense, know enough about the things you're using that people really go, well, that was a warrant. Know something, if they're going to carry a revolver, know something on revolvers. Don't talk about, put the magazine in the revolver. That's the worst thing. If you're going to have your character use a Glock, know a little bit about Glock. Don't get the big things wrong. If your story is good enough, we'll ignore the little things. But the big, are you bloody well kidding me? We can't overlook them.
Well, I mean, the good thing about guns, though, is that unless you're doing something really super technical, not super technical, but like, you know, unless you're writing about a Vulcan or some military, some full auto. But if you're just talking about a Glock, go to a range, rent one. You can actually shoot one. You'll know what it's like, and you can use that experience.
Depending on what state and or city.
Yeah, that is true. If you live in an anti-freedom state, it's going to be a lot more difficult. But yeah, but I mean, don't they still have ranges there? Maybe
For now.
For
Los
now.
Angeles has several ranges that cater specifically to tourists who want to get to rent firearms up to and including full auto inside urban area and get to shoot them inside underground ranges.
But
There you go.
get the basics right. Understand that calibers can either be point something of an inch or millimeters.
So what are some good resources, not just about guns, but about the laws in this? Because here's the thing is, I do think knowing more gives you more options and more Okay, so what, hold that up.
Okay, I'm going to plug this. It's The Law of Self-Defense by my friend Andrew Branca. And he's got a book about it. And the book actually deals with firearm laws for every state. You can get this for, I think, $20-something. I've got a link for people who want to get it because I coordinated with him. If you go to a special site, I think it's like lawofselfdefense.com/LTUE. Please don't quote me on that. I'll give it for you in a minute. You can buy it for like 50% off. And this is just a phenomenal resource for the legalities of, I've just been involved in a self-defense shooting, what happens? Or how do I know a good shoot from a bad shoot? And I could go into all that if there's interest, but get this book, that'll answer a lot.
Also, very, very handy, most district attorneys are political animals. They like to get reelected. They really like writers who might put them in a book. If you go to your local district attorney and say, hey, what do y'all do about self-defense laws here? They will take you out to coffee, hoping you will put them in the book. Well, most of them.
By the way, I'm a writer. It's one of the greatest door openers in the world.
Oh.
For all my research, I'll drive along the road, and I'll see a cool building, and I'll just walk up and knock. My family hates this. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Like, I'm not a bomber, I'm a writer. And they're like, well, you look like a hobo. Come on in, let's show you all our secrets. That's don't be afraid of that. Use your writerliness. That's a great power.
The only problem is your search history. That's,
I just hold up a piece of paper every once in a while that says I'm wearing no pants. I hope you're having a good day.
let me say one thing though about self-defense. What we're talking about here basically is in the United States. Overseas, in foreign countries, it is entirely different.
Also, different areas in this country are different.
So here, how do you deal with that as a writer? And they change year to year. So what was legal 10 years ago is not now and vice versa. So as a writer, I'm going to write a book. They all want to write books that have some longevity, that are accurate, but won't fall apart next year when the new legislature comes in. So how do you deal with that?
Are you talking historically or?
I'm talking, these people wanted to just ask you that question.
Okay. As a for instance, let's go with Victorian times. What you should do is read some books written a while ago back about Victorian times. As an example, Sherlock Holmes. The classic line, Watson, get your revolver, the hunt is afoot, defines gun laws in Victorian times. If you were a gentleman of means, there were no laws. There are way too many books these days that are putting modern ideas of gun laws and self-defense in Victorian times. Are you jolly well kidding me? Don't put your modern sensibilities if you're writing about the Old West. Okay? Read, there are penny dreadfuls, what they call penny dreadfuls or dime store novels, that will tell you, will give you the idea of what the attitudes towards self-defense were at the time. Read those. Don't read the New York Times and use that as the idea of what people thought about self-defense in 1880s Kentucky. It doesn't work. All right?
Let me ask a question, show of hands. How many people have heard of the term vigilante? How many people think vigilantes were good?
Well, if it's bad.
Isn't the original the Latin?
Yeah. I'm in the process of doing some stuff for a Western, so I've been researching it. And you could go down rabbit holes. I'll just leave it at that, 6 hours, and what's going to be about a 2-line in the book. But, interestingly enough, vigilantes can be good or bad, depending on where they are. Does anybody think there's a vigilante committee that still exists in the United States?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, there is. Believe it or not, it's called ATA, Anti-Theft Association. It's out of Missouri. It's now a fraternal organization. It goes back to the 1870s, the Anti-Horse Thief Association, which actually went into Indian country to bring back horse thieves prior to the U.S. Marshals. Two instances of vigilantes in San Francisco, 1851, 1856. Both times lasted less than a year. Got rid of the Barbary Coast Pirates, which were the Australians, and overthrew the city government and got responsible people. But by the same token, there is a laundry list of vigilante committees that went bad. So again, know what you're writing, do the research.
All right, we're gonna, oh, thank you guys. All of this. I love this, like I'm sitting here learning stuff. So we're gonna open it up for questions. One sec, you wanna hear this so you don't run afoul of things. I'm a huge jerk. So, these are the experts, and you might know more than everybody, but you're not behind the expert table, so nobody cares what you think right now. So if your question starts looking like a comment to me in the first 10 seconds, I will cut you off, and I'll be not super awesome about it, okay? So if you have a question, and by the way, this comment is still a comment. Okay? So ask a question. If you have one for a specific person, address it to them, and otherwise we'll just field it. So you had your hand up first, and then you, and then you. Oh, I skipped over you. We'll come back to you.
So you said that there you can learn about like Victoria's era gun laws and stuff, like reading stuff from that area. How would you approach creating or learning or creating self-defense laws for think space age level things?
Okay. When you make a civilization, you're going to base it off something, right? At least some of the elements of your new civilization will be based off of something you know, right? There you go. Take your self-defense laws, your gun laws, from the parts you want to base the nucleus for your new culture. There you go.
Stab in the dark here. Do you play pen and paper role-playing games by any chance? Have you heard of Traveler? Okay, you should look into it because Traveler is very much a sandbox-generated game, and they have rules specifically in both the main book, and then it goes into greater detail in another supplement about how to create laws for your fictional planet. So Traveler RPG, the one I'm specifically thinking of, was published by Mongoose. And then I think you want the supplements titled Agent, which will go into more detail. And I think between that should help you flesh some things out.
Thank you.
Does the time dilation happen differently for different people?
Oh, yes.
Is it possible, I mean, somebody who plan to like rob a store, maybe it's not going to have that at all?
Not only is time dilation different for different people, it's different for different instances.
Yeah.
I've had time dilation in one self-defense that didn't happen in the second. And I had time compression in a third. It's,
So that's good at bad guys.
oh, yes.
Various instances.
So, him, and then you. Scared people, I'll be like, get him.
What are the gyros in fiction?
Gyros?
The-
Gyrojets?
Yes. Like the things that Reagan loved. He had one.
Okay.
Oh, the thing that was in the Tom Selleck movie Runaway.
Sort of, yeah.
Gyrojet, for those of you who do not know, Gyrojet was a rocket, a handheld rocket launcher. Basically, you had this little bullet, it was packed full of powder, yeah, it took off like a little rocket. Fantastic. Again, in that stuff, that list of things other than Glock you can put in your books, great. In practical application, bloody well sucks. It's inaccurate, doesn't work real well, but if you take it in your world, your milieu, and make it accurate and dependable, go for it.
Well, again, like in that movie Runaway, 1984, Tom Selleck, there was a bad guy who I think it was a bad guy who was shooting Gyrojets at people, and because it was set in the future, these had like homing warheads on them. So you know, it was less of a rocket, more like a guided missile that would follow around the corner and things like that.
There you go.
And because it's sci-fi, yeah, it's possible.
I love that you mentioned that movie. That's a great movie.
It's probably a dumb question, but how does time dilation affect your
abilities in fighting? Like, what does it do to you in the moment?
It's not the actual, okay, we're fixing to get off into the weeds on something I've got a 2-hour class I teach. Time dilation doesn't affect you during the fight that much. What it does affect is your recall after the fight, and can really screw with your emotional and psychological recovery after the fight.
By the way, guys, I'm really glad you said that dumb question thing. Get over that. So if you're 5 years old, you get to ask whatever you want. And being a writer is being a perpetual 5-year-old. When you're 45 years old, it's like it causes me to be like, I don't know how this thing in the universe works, even though I've had no cause to learn it. And that's a dumb thing that you get to discard as a writer. Don't ever say this is a dumb question, unless the guy just said it to you and you weren't listening, and that's you're being an idiot.
One of the things from
all questions are great.
my experience with time dilation is the mind starts processing things faster than they're happening. So you're starting to see and discard options. And your mind is sitting there going at 1,000,000 miles an hour while you're still trying to figure out what you're going to do. You know, do I run? Do I attack? Do I defend? What the hell do I do? Why did I walk in this bar? You know, those are the things that are going through my mind at a time
And that all
dilation.
happens just like that.
Well,
And it happens almost
And
instantaneously.
here's the interesting thing, is it's not that you're not getting a superpower. It's not like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why
I
I
go
asked.
sideways and watch and laugh. It's like the thing's happening, and you know it's happening, and you're going, I'm about to get hit in the face.
Yeah.
That fist is coming really close. It's going to hit me any second. And in all of these thoughts, never once is your body like, you're just going, this inevitable thing is happening.
Oh,
Shoot, I'm going to think about it for the next 1,000,000 years.
Yeah, the next thing you know is that something which hurt.
Yeah.
It's like an anti-superpower.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt.
What are some common physiological reactions that we could put into scenes from a massive adrenaline dump?
Okay, first is the shakes.
Yeah.
I mean, literally to the point you don't know if you can stand up.
Okay. Don't get focused on the adrenaline. Don't get focused on the adrenaline. Adrenaline, everybody's focused on the adrenaline and critical incident stress, critical incident event. Everybody focuses on it, which is easy. What you need to focus on is the endorphins.
That's
The
right.
endorphins are what are going to really screw you up. The endorphins are indogenic morphine. And everybody knows you get, morphine gives you a high, right? You feel this feeling of euphoria. And the morphine your body generates is 40 times more powerful. So you've got this thing that's going to give you euphoria. It comes roaring out of your hindbrain, gets hold of your big brain, starts monkey screwing it into it. Because here you are, you've just been in a fight, you just dumped this guy, and you're feeling euphoric. Holy crap, what sort of monster feels euphoric after killing someone? Oh my God, what am I? That's one of the things that screws people up, is the endorphins. You're feeling, you're numb, you're disassociated. You have this feeling that endorphins give you a feeling of standing outside of the event. And you're watching your body do something that you have learned since you were this high is bad. Thou shalt not kill. And you're watching your body kill somebody. Oh my God, what have I done? And then you're euphoric about it. Whee! I got motorcycle, I just killed somebody! Oh God. Oh God. What am I? That's what screws you for a while. I'm here to tell you, that's one of the leading issues for critical incident stress, is the fact you're trying to justify feeling good about planting some other mother's child. Holy crap.
What kind of scientific books are available on that phenomenon?
Not many.
I don't know about scientific, but what was that book by Masada you in the direst
Yeah, the
extreme?
gravest extreme.
The Gravest Extreme.
The grievous.
The Gravest Extreme by Masad. M-A-S-S-A-D.
I can't believe I'm going to say this.
A-Y-O-B.
Colonel Grossman. Not the second one,
On killing?
no, the other one.
On war, on violence?
On violence,
On violence.
yes.
We got a question here.
Is there a difference in between that time dilation and what I've heard too referred as the flow for like sports players when they like,
About the same.
it's about the same?
It's just a lot more of it.
It's a lot quicker.
Yes.
How common is it for someone who has just been in a self-defense situation where they didn't have to use deadly force to just sit there and stare at the person that had died just like sit there and stare at them until like the cops show up?
Honestly,
What?
honestly,
Yeah.
most people are pacing, and they are calling somebody to explain why they had to do this. You'll hear on the internet a lot of bourgeois about don't tell the cops anything. The only thing you tell the cops is, here's my lawyer's phone number. Oh, the biggest issue as an investigator with a self-defense killing is getting the person that did it to shut up. Again, morphines, the endorphins. Morphine, when you use it recreationally, takes away a lot of your inhibitions. You just got a substance 40 times more powerful than that, taking away your inhibitions. You can't shut up.
Another question.
Just really quick, based off the synopsis, is there a difference? I know it's different for each one, but between murder, fighting, and accidents with self-defense?
Yes, so from a law perspective, it hinges on mens rea and circumstance. Mens rea is their state of mind. So if you're premeditated murder, I'm just going to answer this one real fast because these guys could answer really big answers, but it's just basically, did you mean to kill them? Did you plan to do it? Did they take a swing and you did it back? Or did you run over them without even knowing it? You know, and that's where you get into, if they're coming at you first to kill you and you take them out, you got a self-defense argument. If you're walking towards them with the loaded gun and they swing at you and you shoot them, you're not self-defense, you just motivated the whole problem. So it comes down to a bunch of technical laws, but just basically, you know, when they talk about murder in TV and stuff, that is when you were out to kill someone. If it's manslaughter, it was a boo-boo where somebody died. And self-defense is they were trying to kill you and you did it to them first.
To say one thing, general statement about self-defense. It's not always about using a weapon. It can be simply a matter of avoiding a bad area, a bad place. Use, Ian calls it the hindbrain, I call it hunches or gut feeling. Your hindbrain processes things that your conscious mind does not and will not and cannot. There are times when the mind, gut feel says, don't go down that road. Don't go in that area. That in itself is a form of self-defense. Because what you're doing is your mind is saying, you're about to get your butt in a sling if you do this. Don't do it. Now, don't. A bunch of people show up, get away from them. Don't sit there and pull your cell phone out and say, I'm going to video this because it's going to be neat. Because there might be a bullet coming through the cell phone at you.
Very wise man named John Farm, who teaches a lot of classes on self-defense, said the best way to not get in trouble is don't go stupid places with stupid people and do stupid things. There you go.
I'd like to ride the coattails on that because I have read too many stories about women who have been assaulted because they didn't want to seem rude. There's this guy and he's sending the wrong signals, but I don't know, maybe I'm overreacting. I don't want to be that person. And in case you need permission, let me give it to you. Your life is more important than his feelings. So if you are getting danger signals, you go ahead and you be as rude as you need to be. And if you need to tell him to get the F off that elevator, stop following me, what do you want? I'm calling the police. Make a scene. Do it. Don't be a victim because you didn't want to be a bitch. No, be that bitch. Be a live bitch.
Judged by 12 or carried by 6.
Yep.
Awesome information from everybody. Thank you. Can we find out if you're at a table or selling something or anything like that?
Got a few copies of my books are at Karen Olson's table in the vendor room. I'll be happy to sign them for you.
I'll be hiding in corners.
I'm not selling anything. I'm just here to do some panels. But I do have my charity, Operation Blazing Sword. And if anyone would like to know more about that, about how I pair gun owners with gun-curious people, I would be happy to talk to your girl about it. Come see me. I got business cards. I'm happy to hand them out.
I'm in the vendor room. Thank you guys. Great panel. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.